Okay, so much has happened. Just a quick recap. Except for this coil right here, all of these are the original coils. I'm on my, this is technically the 4th coil to go in this slot. So here we have some coils that just showed up literally just now, just before 6 p.m. So here they are, automotive leader. These have a 2-year warranty. They say they've been tested very well. There's no gunk inside of them like there were in the other ones that I've looked at. Not really seeing the spring. There it is. You can see that. So it looks good in there. So here we go. I'm really excited about this. So I'm gonna go on and put all of these in and see how the car runs. All right, so it looks like it seems to be running fairly well. In the beginning, there was a little bit of that same old surging and bucking with it, which kind of made me nervous, but it doesn't seem to be doing it now. So maybe it's just adjusting. So what I'm gonna do is I took it up to 60 miles per hour, but I'm gonna, see, the thing is when you just step on the accelerator, you don't get it. It won't buck, it won't surge, it won't jerk, okay? But if you try to accelerate, just as you can see right here, just a hair below 2,000 RPMs, like 1,800 or 1,500 RPMs, then you get the problems. That's what I'm dealing with right here. So I don't know, it's actually starting to, as I keep, well, there was a little bit of a surge there. I'm gonna get this thing on the highway and get some more data for you. Unfortunately, the nightmare continues. Here we are, just a couple 100 miles since putting in the new coils. And of course, there's the new spark plugs have been on here for a good 1,500, 1,600 plus miles. I mean, it's, I don't know. I don't understand this car, I really don't, or this truck. Got this code here, this code, P025E.
What's wrong with it?
It says turbocharger. Says refer to the manual on this other one.
You have a turbo on this?
Yeah. Okay, so I just picked my car up from the dealership. They ran a full diagnosis on it and basically said that it's the spark plugs more than anything. So spark plugs, and they said only one coil. So it's really bizarre. So I have to just trace this thing now. What they're saying is by me driving the car when it's acting this way, I'm going to eventually just burn out the catalytic converter. We don't want to do that. Unfortunately, I'm in a bad position here to where I'm having to use the vehicle, which I'm not happy about, because what I'm going to get in payment will not technically cover the cost of a new catalytic converter if that becomes the case. So anyway, the problem's the plugs. It's the plugs, one of the coils. They say the number 4 coil. There's a new set of coils on here. The plugs are the oldest thing on here, so I'm gonna redo the plugs. I'm gonna pull them out and see what I can do about getting some better plugs. Houston, we have a problem. 2,000 miles, and if you look at those other photos and videos I took of the plugs that had been in for roughly 79,000 miles, they looked about as bad as this one. I mean, trying to get a good focus on it here. that looks like, hang on. Now I'm gonna check the gap specifications, or the gaps on these, because this is the one that my dad forced, so we'll see what it's reading right now. So as you can see here, he gapped it to, you could say roughly 2.5 when it's supposed to be at 3. I'm gonna show you what a new one, the pre-gapped ones, are supposed to be at and how they should look. And here we are at the pre-gap, which is pretty much 3, right on the nose. It's where it should be. I'm gonna replace those 2 that we gapped, and hopefully it'll sort out the problem. And another thing real quick, look at how this thing looks right here. This is a brand new SP580. The 2015 Lincoln Navigators came with SP534s. They did not work out, so they upgraded to the SP580s. So that's why we're going with those. Another thing I'm going to do with this is I'm going to use anti-seize on the threads. So I'm just gonna put a little bit of it here, so when it threads in, it'll be a lot easier to pull it out. So. And for the record, this is the most difficult one to work on. Once you get past this one, they're all fairly easy. I mean, this side is not nearly as difficult, the back one, as this one here. So that one's kind of tough to get into, because as you see, there's not a lot of places to. All right, so I changed out the one spark plug. I'm reading the entire vehicle right now. Car's running great. Check engine light is gone. It looks like it was just that one spark plug. It was just because it was gapped when it shouldn't have been. It was already pre-gapped, and my dad gapped it. Not to put all the blame on him. I should have, stood my ground and told him not to do that. But everything looks good here. Like it's at about 62%, right? 63%, and we'll see what it says. But car is running great. I'm gonna take it for a spin. Getting the plugs disconnected, that is a totally different situation. You'll have to look at the earlier part of the video to see what that was about, but that was very, very tough to deal with. As a matter of fact, that is the most time-consuming part of this job, is getting those plugs unclipped. I ended up breaking, my father broke one of the red safety clips, I broke one, and then we just decided to remove them because they were just in the way and they're not really needed. So, and then my friend and neighbor made this little, he took this Home Depot paint stick for stirring paint, and I was already using a flathead screwdriver, but he did this really interesting thing, and I'm going to try to show you how that worked out. So okay, so here's what we did. See, I was pressing down, I was taking the flathead, the screwdriver, and I was using a large one, and I would press down on this, and with my other hand I would just kind of wiggle at this plug until I got it off. But my friend Tiger, he basically would put the screwdriver underneath this tab, lifting it up so that it would get past that little safety notch. And while he was doing that, so here I'm gonna just stick the screwdriver there, and I'm doing all this on my own, so just bear with me. And then he would take this stick and wedge the stick. You see how it's kind of angled? He sanded it down to an angle, like using the concrete on the ground or whatever, and see, he would just wiggle it like that, and he had it down to a science to where he'd push this thing up and then turn this to the right, and it just was like turning a key. It would just sweep right out. So that's how that is done. Once again, just to recap, this spark plug back here, closest one to the firewall, which I was assuming was number 1, but obviously it must be the number 4. So the firing order goes 1, 4, gosh, I'll have to read over the fire. I'll show the firing code in a moment, but the firing code is nothing like what I thought it would be. So this turned out to be all of the problem. So hundreds of dollars spent on coils, trying them out, returning them. Overall I'm stuck with one coil, and it's smart to replace the coils. So this set of coils on here, I'm gonna put a link in the description to where I got these coils from. They were $75 on Amazon. and it looks like they're gonna work out just fine. $75 for the whole set. They have a 2-year warranty on them. They have been well tested. There were only a handful of reviews, but the reviews were all positive. Everyone said they worked great, unlike the other ones I tried out that definitely didn't work. So the good news is I'm gonna be able to return the coils that I bought because I did not open them. I bought like some genuine Ford Motorcraft coils, and I'm going to return those and get $200 back. But there's one I bought from O'Reilly, and I know they're not gonna take it back, so I'm gonna have to eat that $78, but that's fine. I'll just keep it around, and eventually I'll have to replace them, and maybe I'll pop it in then. But yeah, if there's some way, I'll follow up and let you guys know that I returned it. But I will make an attempt to return it. I just don't think I can, just because you can't return spark plugs and stuff like that. So I spent I bought that blue driver because I wanted another opinion, along with all the other OBD2 tests I'd done and taking it to 2 different dealerships and a mechanic just to get other opinions. This all, once again, just turned out to be a spark plug issue. It just needed a tune-up. It just needed new spark plugs. Maybe there were a couple of the coils that were not in very good shape. I will show those to you. One of them, the boot was. This one's not that bad. This is the one where that spark plug was. So I'm not really seeing it right now, but I had one that was, and I'm keeping them in order because I want to mark how they were in the car. There's one, it was mangled when I took it out, and I don't know if it was this one or not, but yeah, they're probably fine. But it doesn't hurt. I replaced them all for $75. Each one of these coils from Ford, Lincoln, Motorcraft coils, $179 a pop from them. So just for the lack of math, let's just say that it would have cost me $1,200 or close to it for that set of coils. Close to $1,200, been a little around $1,000. That's why the dealer was basically saying, but they were saying they were only going to give me one coil, and I didn't need to get it, so that's great. Most like discount auto parts stores, you're looking at about $80 to $82. I got one from O'Reilly for $72.99. So if you want to get one that you want to definitely stick with Motorcraft, and you don't want to wait for it to be shipped, then go to O'Reilly. Otherwise, I'm going to tell you, go to you could try Rock Auto, get mixed reviews with them, but I just stick with Amazon. I mean, they just have a stronghold on the marketplace and with e-commerce and everything. So I just stick with that, and there you have it. Problem solved. The car is running great. I'm gonna leave the cover off for a while. There it is over in the corner, but I'm gonna leave it off while I drive the car and just make sure everything is good with it and nothing else goes wrong. Oh, and one very important tool I forgot to mention that really helped me out here. I mentioned it before, but this rope was my best friend throughout this. And I would just loop it right behind this part where the bolt would go through, or right there where that plug would go in, and pop, it would just pop right out. So this rope is another very useful tool that helped me through this process. And I mean, basically that's it. I mean, a small little Craftsman set like this, I have a large Craftsman set as well, but I didn't even need to break into that. Everything was done with this little 70-piece Craftsman set that I've had since God, I don't know, man. I've had this thing for well over 20 years. All right, well, I have some friends here, so. All right, so here we are. We are, car is running better than it was. Truck is running better than it was. But unfortunately, it is still misfiring here and there. So what I'm going to do is go for this next coil here, the next one up, and I'm going to replace that spark plug. As I mentioned before, these coils are all new, but they're aftermarket. And I want to show you how I've been pulling these out. So you see, one-handed job. I just put this rope right here, and I just pull straight up. Let me show you real quick. And that's it. It's out. No damage to anything. All right, so wipe that sucker down. But yeah, I'm gonna get in here and pull this plug out while the engine's still hot, but I don't have time. I've got to get it done. Okay, this one looks a tad bit better than the other one that came out. I'm gonna check the gap on it. It's kind of dirty right there. Anyway, I'm gonna go on and change it out. All right, you gotta take my word for it. This one's actually, this is the new one. I put a little anti-seize on there. All right, about to pop it in, but I was just comparing it to this one here, and they were gapped about the same. So the other one, it was clearly obvious, but with this one, I don't know. So anyway, let me go on and drop this one in and plug the coil back up, and we'll see what happens. All right, cranker back up, running like usual. Gonna go on and take a test drive here, see how it performs. All right, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Here we are on day 23 of this saga with the jerking, whatever you want to call it. It's an intermittent thing. It doesn't happen all the time. Typically happens under 2,000 RPMs. I'll just go over what's happening right now. So here are some more coils that I got from Amazon. One came in this box, one came in this bag, and two of them came in this box. I don't know why they did it this way. I think that they basically overbooked and they had to get them to me, but these were purchased through Amazon, not through a third party on Amazon. Those came from Amazon, and then they ran out. So I only have these four, and then this fifth one here that I got from O'Reilly. This box is where the $75 set of 6 came from. I'm gonna put them back in there. As you can see, I've got my trusty rope to help me pull them out. This is hands down the fastest I've ever taken these clips off, thanks to this little configuration here that my friend Tiger came up with. It really works quite well. Now we're going all motorcraft here, okay? And we're gonna see if this straightens out the problem. I've replaced the plugs, 2 of the ones that were gapped when they shouldn't have been. And the rest of them, I am quite confident they are fine. So I'm not going to, because I know for a fact that these did not get gapped at all, because I just put them in as they were pre-gapped. And I'm pretty sure this one is the same story for that. I don't know. I'm really hoping at this point this is my problem. I have faith. So this is the first one I bought. Because it's so hard to get back there, I'm going to put this one there since I'm stuck with it anyway and I can't return it, and it is motorcraft, it is new. I think it's going to be fine. So I'm going to put it back there first.